In this video, we're going over the experimental procedure of Lab 13, which is titled Synthesis of Soap. This lab has 3 different components in terms of the experimental procedure. First, there is an OLABS that explains how, through the process of saponification, a soap is made. Next, students will be looking at a YouTube video that is titled How Does Soap Work? And lastly, there is another OLABS that the students are going to be performing to understand the cleaning capacity of a soap when you have soft water and hard water. First, we are going to look at the reaction of saponification, which is how a soap is made. Understand that when it comes to the data and results for Part A, which is the one that we're going to perform now, on page 7 of the lab sheet, there are some questions that need to be answered. So, in order to synthesize a soap, as you can see here, we are going to have a sample of vegetable oil that it happens to be that this is coconut oil. You're going to follow the steps that are given in those dialog boxes throughout the simulator. So first, we're going to click on the graduated cylinder that is going to put the oil into a beaker. Next, we're going to click the second graduated cylinder, which is going to place the sodium hydroxide solution into the beaker where we first placed the coconut oil. Then with the glass rod, we're going to mix the 2 components. Clicking on the eye icon, you can see that is saying that the reaction between the vegetable oil and sodium hydroxide is an exothermic reaction, which means that heat is exiting, means that the temperature is going to rise when you add these 2 reagents to your reaction. Let's move on to the next step. In the next step, we are going to click on the knob to turn on the Bunsen burner. Next, we're going to click on the beaker and we're going to heat up the solution. As you can see, over time, the solution became cloudy. We can click on the eye icon and it says that a whitish paste is formed and is made up of the soap, which is in a suspension right now, and there is also glycerol. Next, we are going to click on the beaker to remove it from the Bunsen burner, and then we're going to turn off our Bunsen burner. In the next step, we are trying to analyze if our solution is basic or acidic. We're going to be doing this by looking at the results of the litmus paper test. Litmus paper is a paper that has been stained with a dye that, depending on the color change, we can determine if something is acidic or basic. As you can see, first we're going to look at what are the results of the red litmus paper. If the red litmus paper, upon putting it in the solution, remains red, then the solution is acidic. If it changes to blue, then the reaction is basic. As you can see here, the red litmus paper turned blue, so that means that the solution is basic. To corroborate this result, we can use a blue litmus paper. And if the blue litmus paper remains blue, then the solution is basic. As you can see here, the blue litmus paper remained blue, so we know that overall, adding the coconut oil and the sodium hydroxide together in the reaction, it created a basic solution. Now we are going to be adding salt to the soap suspension. We're going to be mixing it with a glass rod. And when we click on the eye icon, you can see that adding common salt to the soap suspension allows the soap to get precipitated out as a solid. This process is called salting out. To separate the precipitated soap from the remaining liquid in our beaker, we're going to use a filtration system. As you can see, the filtration system has a glass rod, it has a funnel, filter paper, it has a beaker, it has a stand, and it has a ring stand where, or the ring, that is where we place the funnel. We click on the beaker, and as you can see in this system, through gravity filtration, we are able to separate solids from liquids. With this spatula, we're able to isolate the precipitated soap. And now to dry the soap, we can actually place another sheet of filter paper on top. And as you can see, this is how soap can be synthesized. In part B of the lab, you will be going to the address that is in the lab sheet in YouTube. And on page 8, you will be going through a list of questions that need to be answered based on the information in this video. Meaning the video that is on YouTube. Make sure that you copy the address from the lab sheet onto your web browser to observe this video on how does soap work.